Welcome to this super comprehensive masterclass on IELTS Writing Task 2 essays. If you are serious about your preparation and ready to work hard, this video will teach you real skills you need to improve your IELTS writing score. These techniques have been proven by over 30,000 students who took my courses, and their results are truly impressive. We'll start with a full sample essay and then dive deeper into each criterion the examiners assess and how to score higher. It's Sasi here. Let's get started. Let me show you my shortcut formula, the easiest way to write an IELTS essay that will pass. It can help you get a band 6 or 7 or even an 8. It works with every type of essay and every topic. I'm going to write the formula on the left and the essay on the right. And I care a lot about the quality of materials I show you, so I've prepared an essay in advance, and this essay was checked by a former IELTS examiner and a professional proofreader, well, as we always do. And yes, we need a task. Some people think that the government should subsidize fruit and vegetables to make healthy food more affordable. Others argue that the government should tax unhealthy food instead. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. The first paragraph is an introduction. The easiest way to begin is to paraphrase the task. If we read our task, we can see that it's about the government. So why does the government want to introduce these policies? Well, to make the population healthier, right? Here's how I'm going to begin. What would be the best government policy to encourage people to eat healthier? Yes, you can use a question in your introduction. Now, we have two views in our question. I just need to paraphrase it slightly. An easy way is to change the form of words. Instead of the verb to subsidize, we can use a noun, subsidies, and instead of to tax, say to impose taxes. Some support subsidies on healthy foods, while others argue it is better to impose taxes on unhealthy options instead. And we use the plural form foods because we're talking about different kinds of food. This task asks for our opinion. So let me give my opinion directly. In my opinion, the best way to help people improve their diets is to use both strategies together. Some students avoid giving their opinions in the introduction because they think it's too early. Maybe that's how you are taught to write essays at school. But in IELTS, our essay is just 4 paragraphs long, so keep it simple. Actually, all the former examiners I've discussed it with prefer it this way. Okay, our introduction is ready, but it's not the most important paragraph. Let's keep it short. What really matters is how you write your body paragraphs, and there is a good chance you can improve on what you're doing right now. And this will hugely help with the score. We have an essay about 2 views, so we're gonna describe each view in a separate paragraph. In the first, we'll describe the first view, the taxes. What's good about it, what's not so good, and what I think about it. But there is one thing a lot of students miss when they begin their body paragraph. The first sentence should tell us what this paragraph is about. This is called a topic sentence. Keep it simple. On the one hand, I agree that taxes on unhealthy foods could make them more expensive, and people would buy less of them as a result. I just say what I think directly. Now, we need to develop this idea by giving an explanation or example. I'm going for an example in the clearest possible linker. For example, some countries have implemented taxes on sugary drinks, and this has pushed companies to lower sugar content in their products, making them less unhealthy. So that's what's good about taxes. What's not so good? However, simply raising prices doesn't always result in people changing what they eat. And an explanation? Some may still buy junk food or slightly better versions of it without significantly improving their nutrition. There are no big fancy words here, but we don't need them. All we need is some less common words, often topic specific. And we also need some collocations or common combinations of words. And we have them. Have a look. To implement taxes, sugary drinks, sugar content, raise prices, junk food, and nutrition. The important thing is to choose clear, easy to explain ideas and develop them into logical arguments. I know it's not easy. A lot of my course students struggle with it when they join. But once they learn how to find ideas and how to structure them, their writing gets so much better. And you can learn it too. Oh, and actually over here, it's the second paragraph, but it's the first body paragraph, so we should have number 1 here. Now, writing the second body paragraph may be more difficult because we need to make sure that the 2 paragraphs complement each other. How can we do that? The second view is about subsidies, and we start with the topic sentence. Subsidizing healthy foods, on the other hand, can motivate people to make better dietary choices. I used a classic linking phrase, on the other hand, and the first part of it, on the one hand, was in the first body paragraph. This is an easy way to link the 2 paragraphs and show that I'm comparing 2 ideas. Now, I want to explain the topic sentence a bit more. If fruit and vegetables cost less, even those on tight budgets could include them in their meals. And now the result. This approach can lead to lasting improvements in how people eat. And my opinion about this view? So I see it as an important step towards improving public health. Just like in the first paragraph, we're discussing what's good. Now, what's the downside? The challenge is convincing governments to spend money on subsidies instead of relying on tax revenue. Now, let's talk about grammar for a second. A common mistake students make trying to impress the examiner is writing long sentences, which are usually not grammatically correct in the end. So keep your sentences to 2 or 3 parts or clauses. After all, complex grammar is not just long sentences. It's using gerunds like subsidizing or improving, or conditional sentences with if, and modal verbs like can and could. And of course, complex sentences. In our case, we have one with so as a linker. By this point, the examiner's thinking, that's good, but would all come together into a really strong essay and confirm the high score? There are 2 things to do in your conclusion. First of all, restate your opinion clearly, but try not to repeat the phrases from the introduction. Here is mine. In conclusion, I believe that a combination of both policies is the best way forward. So the idea is exactly the same as in the introduction, as it should be, but it's worded slightly differently. And now we need to summarize the arguments from body paragraphs. By taxing unhealthy foods, the government can deter people from purchasing them. And the second view? At the same time, using that revenue to make healthy foods more affordable will make them more appealing to consumers. And finally, let's link it back to the big idea of improving public health we started our essay with. Helping everyone improve their eating habits. Now, our opinion is clear and we've answered the essay question in full. What score would this essay get? Around a band 8. And if you add a few mistakes and imperfections, it will still be good enough for a band 7. Actually, there is one thing you may not know about IELTS writing scores. This is IELTS Band Descriptors, a document that lists all the requirements for your essay. To get a band 7, you must meet each band 7 criteria: task response, coherence and cohesion, or your essay structure and flow, vocabulary and grammar. So, how can you fully answer the task to get a great task response score? Don't underestimate this requirement. A lot of marks are lost here. But I have 4 tips and some examples that can help you. The first tip is carefully analyze the question before writing your answer. At the end of the day, there is nothing worse than giving a brilliant answer to the wrong question. The last time I took a computer-based IELTS, I was really surprised when a girl sitting next to me started typing her answer before I finished reading my task. 20 seconds into the exam. I'm a firm believer in spending several minutes to carefully read the task, decide what you need to do, plan your essay, and then write. Let me show you how you should analyze your task. Here is a sample question. In the future, more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad. Do you agree or disagree? Let's analyze the question. Let's read it again. In the future, more people will choose to go on holiday in their own country and not travel abroad on holiday. This means that today some people go on holiday in their own country and some go abroad. And the statement is that more people will travel in their country and fewer people will go to other countries than today. So please also note that the question is about people traveling on holiday for pleasure. It's not about business travelers. And if you mention business travelers, this information would be irrelevant and you lose points for going off topic. Do you agree or disagree? This task is not about what other people think. It's only about what you think. So think what position you choose for the essay, what ideas you include, and then start writing. And try to ignore people who start writing very quickly. If you start writing earlier, it doesn't mean you finish earlier, and it definitely doesn't mean that you get a higher score. Tip number 2. Don't contradict yourself. There is a Band 7 requirement that says that you must present a clear position throughout your response. Let's have a look at our essay topic again. You need to say if you agree or disagree. Basically, the whole essay is about your opinion. And you can say that you agree or that you disagree, or you can have a balanced opinion. That means that you agree with something and disagree with something else. In our case, a possible balanced opinion would be I agree that in the future, older people will spend their holiday in their own country more frequently, but younger people will continue to travel abroad as often as possible. In this opinion, I've split people into 2 groups, older and younger. And I agree with this statement as far as it concerns older people. And I disagree when it concerns younger people. I don't contradict myself. I don't agree and disagree with the same thing. A big mistake would be to write about reasons why you agree and reasons why you disagree. It would be something like, I agree that in the future people would travel abroad less for this and that reason, and then I disagree that they will travel abroad less for some other reasons. Then I directly contradict myself. In my online courses, I show how to write an essay if you agree and if you disagree and if you have a balanced opinion. There are slight but important differences. And I'll link the courses in the description box below. But right now, the main thing for you to remember is this. In an agree-disagree essay, you only talk about your own opinion and not about other people and what they think. An essay where you discuss two opposing points of views is called Two Views and Your Opinion. Here is an example. Some people say that everyone should go on holiday abroad to discover the culture and traditions in other countries. Others think that it's better to travel locally and learn more about your own country first. Discuss both these views and give your opinion. So in your answer to this question, you do need to discuss opinions of other people. Give arguments in support of both views, and then say which view you agree with. The next step is to develop your ideas. Indeed, developing your ideas is one of the key requirements in task 2. Basically, you should explain your ideas to the reader, provide examples and supporting points to make these ideas very clear. Listen to this paragraph and think if the ideas here are developed or not. Firstly, traveling abroad is a valuable experience for individuals because people who discover different cultures and ways of life develop a better understanding of the world and generally become more open-minded and tolerant to others. Secondly, the new experiences that people have on their trips can inspire them to improve their communities by using ideas from other countries. Finally, people feel more relaxed and rested when they completely change their environment, which is harder to achieve without crossing the borders of one's own land. So what do you think? Are ideas developed? I would say no. Let's have a look at the structure. We have the first idea in the first sentence, the second idea in the second sentence, and the third idea in the third. These ideas are not explained. There are no examples. What's more, I would say the third idea is actually not relevant. Our topic is about traveling abroad to discover other cultures and traditions. It doesn't matter what's the best way to relax. And there is one more problem. There is no topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph to tell us what's it all about. This is not a very good example. Even though vocabulary and grammar are complex and accurate, compare it to the second version I've written. Ideas are the same. I've only changed the way they are presented. First of all, I've added a topic sentence. Traveling is a valuable experience that opens people's minds and hearts. This sentence shows that we're going to learn how traveling opens minds and hearts. Here is the first idea from the previous paragraph. People who discover different cultures and ways of life in other countries develop a better understanding of the world and generally become more open-minded and tolerant of others. Now the second idea. I've replaced firstly and secondly by moreover, which shows that we're not just naming ideas 1, 2, 3, but we're adding to the previous idea, we're developing it. Moreover, the new experiences that people have on their trips can inspire them to improve their communities by using ideas from other countries. For example, this can be done by opening a new business. Again, the second idea is the same as in the previous version of this paragraph, but I've added an example, and now I'm going to explain this example. Indeed, entrepreneurs may get new ideas when they become acquainted with well-known or traditional ideas or techniques in other corners of the world. And finally, a sentence that sums up all the ideas and helps us to smoothly transition to the next paragraph. Without a doubt, traveling abroad is an enriching experience for every individual. Okay, the paragraph is ready. The next point is really important. Write a clear conclusion. The conclusion itself is important because if your essay doesn't have one, you'll be penalized. Your task response score will go down. And in case you're running out of time, shorten your body paragraph but write at least a one-line conclusion. Ideally, a conclusion is where you summarize your main points, express your opinion if the topic asks you for your opinion, and optionally give a recommendation or a forecast. To improve further, try to write a clear conclusion. By the time we're finishing the essay, we've half forgotten what the question was. And if you write a conclusion without rereading the task, it may not answer the question that you were asked, and again, you will lose points. You should directly answer the topic question. In our example, the conclusion could be, although traveling around one's home country can help people better understand some aspects of their culture and history, many of the experiences they encounter on such a journey will be familiar to them. I view world travel as a more enriching and diverse experience that cannot be achieved as effectively without crossing the borders of one's own land. In this conclusion, I've summarized the arguments for both views and gave my opinion. It's not too long. It doesn't include any unnecessary details or new ideas. These 4 tips apply to every single essay, but the way you write your answer varies depending on the type of task you get. And here is the best way to understand the differences between the 5 types of IELTS essays. We take one topic, social media, and change it for each type of task. And you see how the structure of your answer will change too. Ready? Let's start off with the problem solutions task. The use of social media is replacing face-to-face interaction, particularly among many young people. This is our problem. What are the causes of this problem? Or what are the reasons for this? Why is this? What can be done to solve it? Or what are some of the solutions? To answer these questions, you need to offer several causes and several solutions. The easiest way is to group all your causes in one body paragraph and all the solutions in the other. It's also possible to present one cause and its solution in one paragraph, then the next cause and its solution in the next paragraph. I'd say 3 body paragraphs max, usually 2. How would you start your essay? Let's have a look at the first paragraph. The young, especially teenagers, spend far too much of their day using social media instead of interacting with their peers offline. It begins with a short topic sentence which simply informs us of the situation. There are many possible reasons for this, among which are wider reach, fear of rejection, and convenience. The second sentence gives several reasons, but there are no details, no examples. Whatever the reasons behind this phenomenon, however, it is clearly detrimental to both their physical and mental health and should be addressed. Here, we just mentioned that the problem should be dealt with, or our solutions. And there it ends. In this paragraph, we have what's called a statement of opinion. It is clearly, which means it is clear to me. But there is no actual opinion. We simply present the causes and solutions. The next type of question is the direct opposite. Agree, disagree, also known as an opinion essay. Here is our topic. Social media platforms such as Instagram and TikTok have a negative impact on both individuals and society. Therefore, they should be banned. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Unlike the problem solutions essays we've just discussed, where your opinion is not really required, this task is all about what you think. Should we ban Instagram and TikTok altogether? Maybe as long as YouTube is not banned, why not? Seriously though, different people may have different opinions on this. You may agree and argue that yes, social media should be banned, or disagree and say no, everything should stay the same, or have an opinion somewhere in the middle, a balanced opinion, like they shouldn't be banned but should be regulated better because there are clearly some problems. There are many different ways to organize this type of essay, which will look much more in depth in my courses. But let's cover some of the options briefly. You may give your opinion, I agree, in the introduction, then give 2 or 3 reasons why you agree in your body paragraphs. This is the easiest way. If you have a balanced opinion, you may describe what you agree with in one paragraph and what you disagree with in the other. But be careful. You're not saying why you agree and why you disagree with the same statement, because that would make no sense. Rather, which part of the statement you agree with and which part you disagree with. For example, I agree that social media can impact us negatively, but only if used too much. So it should be regulated rather than simply banned. You may also add counterarguments, or things other people think which you disagree with, and explain why you disagree with them. In this way, you make your argument stronger. This is a more advanced version, and you could get a Band 7 without using it. I work with several former IELTS examiners, and they all very much agree that with this type of essay, you should state your opinion in the introduction, right after you paraphrase the question. Here is mine. I would argue that social networking websites are not necessarily harmful to anyone if used responsibly, although serious issues may arise with excessive use. Therefore, social media should be regulated rather than banned. In IELTS, topics often involve huge societal problems, and you're asked to solve them in a 4-paragraph essay. But remember, this is not a school essay. Don't go for a smart opinion or try to explain what you really think, because it's probably quite complicated. Simplify it. Take several points and describe them logically and clearly. Do you know the saying, a confused mind says no? In case of IELTS examiners, this is a no to your Band 7 score. Okay, problem and solutions and opinion essays are on the opposite sides of the spectrum. The former is just arguments. The latter is just your opinion. The rest of the essays are in between. Moving on to our third type, which we call 2 views and your opinion, or a discussion essay. This is a common but tricky type, and a lot of test takers miss one of the key parts in their answers. So let's look into it and which parts you absolutely must cover. Here is our task. Some people believe that social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram prevent people from forming personal relationships. This is the first view. Others argue that these platforms bring people together. This is the second view. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. We have the two views, and you need to choose which one you agree with. This is your opinion. You may have a balanced opinion, just like in the agree-disagree essay. What's different is that in this type of essay, you must discuss both views. You cannot just say, I agree with the first view and only talk about it. To structure your essay, give your opinion in the introduction, then present in turn the two sides along with your opinion about them. You may also choose to write a whole paragraph about what you think about those two views. This will be your third body paragraph. And the final paragraph sums up everything. You must always pay attention to the question. Compare the exact wording of these two questions. The first, opinion essay, is more open. We can choose between several interesting ideas to discuss. Are we talking about time spent together online, fake news, lack of personal interactions, or something else? It's up to you to choose. It's so open that we need to narrow it down or we'll be writing all day. The second discussion essay is restrictive. It's only about relationships. It's too easy sometimes to see a question without really reading it and jump in thinking, great, social media, I know a lot about it. And then you're in danger of going off topic, which would be very painful. Slow down, read the topic very carefully, and then keep on reading it again while you're writing your essay, not to lose track of what's needed. You've seen an example of an introduction. Now, let me show you a body paragraph. I chose two ideas. Proponents of social media argue that these platforms play a pivotal role in fostering relationships. This topic sentence tells the reader what this paragraph is going to be about. Now, the first idea. In many parts of the world, families and friends find themselves physically separated because of studies or the need to migrate for work. Being able to keep in touch with the loved ones so easily through the platform of their choice makes a huge difference to them. The idea is that social media helps us maintain existing relationships. Now, the second idea is about forming new relationships. Moreover, through these platforms, individuals can share common interests or experiences and form meaningful relationships with like minded peers. These online connections may transition into offline friendships and collaborations. And now, what I think about all this to wrap up the body paragraph. I believe social media platforms have great potential to facilitate personal relationships when people choose to use them this way. The next type of task asks us to compare two sides, the advantages and disadvantages. For example, some argue that social media platforms encourage personal relationships and the spread of knowledge. Others see them as socially isolating and a waste of time. Do the advantages of using social media outweigh the disadvantages? No different to the two views type. In the introduction, present the topic and your opinion, which are greater, pros or cons. In the body paragraphs, discuss both the advantages and the disadvantages. Again, just like in the previous essay, you must discuss both sides, not just the side you agree with. And in the conclusion, summarize your point of view and the main arguments. So far, I've been showing you some paragraphs from each type of essay. Now, have a look at this idea. Where could we include it? Most young people these days suffer because they lead a more sedentary lifestyle. For example, children probably sit at home after school playing games, chatting, and looking at TikTok or YouTube rather than playing with their friends outdoors. In how many essays could we include this? Could we include it into a paragraph about the disadvantages? Yes. In an agree-disagree essay to say that social media should indeed be banned? Yes. Actually, we could use it in all four essays we've looked into so far because it refers to the negative impact of social media. It all depends on how we put our thoughts together. Now, let's have a look at the conclusion to the advantages disadvantages essay. To sum up, I believe that when used appropriately, social media platforms can be of enormous value, both for keeping in touch with friends and for educational purposes. However, the amount of time people sometimes waste by staring at their smartphones, engaged in meaningless activities, clearly demonstrates the downside of this technology. So the first sentence refers to the positives, which I think outweigh the negatives when used appropriately. But I mentioned the drawbacks too, the time we waste. There is one more type of question, two direct questions or a two-part question. Here is the task. Young people spend more and more time on social networks. Why is this the case? What are the disadvantages of this trend? It appears to be a little more straightforward because in the introduction, you paraphrase the two questions, no opinion required, and then you answer each question in a separate body paragraph. So you may need to express your opinion if one of the questions is like, do you agree? In our case, we need reasons and disadvantages. That's it. Understanding the 5 types of tasks can help you with your task response score. And it can also help you write essays faster because you know what to write about. Now, let's talk about a very different requirement and your grammar. IELTS examiners check if you use what they call complex grammatical structures, which include complex sentences. So let me show you how you can turn simple ideas, let's call them Band 5, into Band 7 and even Band 9 sentences. Let's dive in. To set the scene for our sentences, let's use a topic. Here it is. Not enough students around the world choose to study science subjects at university. What are the reasons for this? What impact does this issue have on society? Students do not want to study science. They choose to study business and law instead. These sentences are very simple from the grammatical point of view. They are probably Band 5 level, even though they are correct. Let's merge them into one sentence. Then we get, some students choose to study business and law rather than science. So here we've already used the grammatical construction rather than, business and law rather than science. I prefer drinking coffee rather than tea. So it's already better, but let's talk about the Band 7 level sentences. Some sentences in English are called complex. To turn our sentence into a complex one, we need to add another sentence, the dependent clause, using the linking words because, when, where, although, until, or some others. Please try to write your complex sentences and post them in the comments below. For example, we take our sentence. Some students choose to study business or law rather than science. And then we want to give the reason. Why? Because? How could you finish this sentence? I decided to say because scientists are paid significantly less than business managers or solicitors. Solicitors are a type of lawyers. we could use where. Some students choose to study business or law rather than science, where salaries are significantly lower. So the same idea, but a different sentence. Here's another one. Some students choose to study business or law, although they have an aptitude for science. So here we turned our initial sentence into a complex sentence. And an aptitude is a natural ability, something you're naturally good at. To make these sentences perfect, you need to use the correct punctuation. As a rule, when you have your linking words in the middle of the sentence, you don't need commas, like in the first two examples. Although is an exception. When we have it in a sentence, we tend to always use a comma. But if you move your dependent clause to the beginning and then your sentence starts with because, where, or some other linking words, we use commas. So let's transform the first sentence. We move because to the beginning. Because scientists are paid significantly less than business managers or solicitors, comma. Some students choose to study business or law rather than science. We can't really transform the second sentence in this way because it will make no sense. But we can do it with the third example. Although some students have an aptitude for science, comma, they choose to study business or law instead. To get a high score for your grammar, it's really important to use commas correctly. Let me show you another type of complex sentences. That's when you add a relative clause with the words who, which, or that. Relative clauses are great in IELTS writing because you can add some extra information to any sentence and easily turn a simple sentence into a complex one. Let me show you how you can do it. So we take the same idea. Some students choose to study business or law rather than science. So let's add some information about students. Some students who... What could you add here? Please write your sentence and post it in the comments. I wrote, some students who are bright and ambitious choose to study business or law rather than science. So when we talk about people, we use who. When we talk about objects, we use which or that. So let's say something extra about science. Some students choose to study business or law rather than science, which... Again, what could you say here? I said, which may be considered less prestigious. So these are complex sentences. What about punctuation? That's a complex topic in itself. Basically, when the meaning of the sentence is clear without the relative clause, you need to put a comma before and a comma after. Like in our second example, we put a comma before which. But if the meaning of the sentence is not clear without your clause, then you don't need any commas. Like in the first example. Some students who are bright and ambitious choose to study business or law. So this sentence means that those who are bright and ambitious choose business or law, not just some students. So we've already changed the meaning of the sentence and we can't easily remove it. I know it's a bit difficult, so let me show you two simple sentences to demonstrate the point. The boy who wears the red t-shirt is my son. Let's try to remove the clause. The boy is my son. Which boy? There are several boys. Which one? It's not clear. That's why we don't use commas here. Here's another one. My son, who wears the red t-shirt, is 5 years old. So here we can remove it. My son is 5 years old. It's clear enough. That's why we use a comma before and a comma after the relative clause. Let's try to merge both types of our complex sentences into one. Here is what we get. Some students who are bright and ambitious choose to study business or law rather than science because scientists are paid significantly less than business managers or solicitors. This sentence is already highly complex, but I would say it's a little bit straightforward. Let's add an element of doubt. Let's say that it's not always so, it's just usually so. Here's how we can do it. Some students who are bright and ambitious may choose to study business or law rather than science, because scientists are often paid significantly less than business managers or solicitors. So they may choose that or may not. So we're not sure, we're not stating that's always so, and may is a modal verb, so it's great to use. And scientists are often paid less. They're not always paid less. So this sentence is more precise, and I would say that's our perfect Band 9 sentence. So we've transformed a simple idea into a Band 9 sentence. In IELTS writing, it's important to remember two things. To get a high score for your grammar, you need to use a wide range of grammatical structures. The more, the better. But you get your high score only if you maintain the level of accuracy. To get Band 7, many of your sentences must be grammatically correct without a single grammatical mistake. So choose the complexity level that is right for you. Okay, enough grammar for today. Let's talk about something more fun. Coherence and cohesion, the second requirement. The sentences in your essay should flow one from another, and there are different ways to make sure there is this logical progression. But I want to talk about a special one, linking words. You should use a range of connectors to link your ideas, and just simple ones like but and then are not enough. So here are some more formal linkers that will be perfect for your Task 2 essay. Let's begin with that very simple linking word, but. We use but to contrast two statements. We're simply saying that there is a difference between them. I can say, for example, I like comedies, but I don't like horror films. Now, there are several linking words that you can use instead of but in Task 2. Here they are. Although, however, nevertheless or nonetheless, and despite or in spite of. There are two very important points to remember and practice here. The first is where our linking word comes in the sentence. Does it come in the middle and join the two parts of the sentence, the same as but? Or can we put it right at the beginning of the sentence? The second point is punctuation. Remember that the IELTS examiner will be looking very carefully at your punctuation. When do you need to use a comma or semicolon or a full stop? Let's look at some examples of these linking words in sentences that we can use in IELTS writing Task 2 essays, like this one. The topic is, in some countries, children are often told that they can achieve anything if they try hard enough. What are the advantages and disadvantages of giving children this message? We need to write at least 250 words and probably 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph presents the essay question and introduces our point of view. Look at this example with but. This message can inspire and motivate some children, but it can also lead to disappointment and a sense of failure in others. When we use although, we usually put it at the beginning of the sentence. Although this message can inspire and motivate some children, it can also lead to disappointment and a sense of failure in others. Pay special attention to that comma in the middle that separates the two contrasting parts of the sentence. Many people like to use the words however or nevertheless, which are very similar in meaning. However is a word for special occasions. Why? Because we use it when we want to say something very important after. Have a look at this sentence. This message can inspire and motivate some children. However, it can also lead to disappointment and a sense of failure in others. Notice that it comes between the two contrasting statements and that we always place a comma after it and either a semicolon or a full stop before it. In other words, we can write two sentences instead of one, like in the second example. Nevertheless and also nonetheless can be used in place of however in exactly the same way. Let's use a different example to show this. Some children push themselves to the limit. Nevertheless, they may not achieve their goals. Another very useful linking word to show contrast is despite, but the grammar of this word is different to the others. Usually in English, there is a pattern of subject, verb, complement. For example, in although this message can inspire some children, despite is followed by a different form. This is usually a gerund. Look at how it works. Despite pushing themselves to the limits, some children may not achieve their goals. We do not use a subject and verb after despite. In this example, it's just a gerund pushing. The subject some children appears in the other part of the sentence after the comma. Please don't forget to use the comma. We can also use in spite of instead of despite. In spite of studying so hard, he did not achieve his goal. All of these words we have looked at so far, from although to despite, show really strong contrast. We use them especially in writing to make the difference we want to express very clearly. Sometimes, however, we only want to make a simple contrast. Let's look at some ways to do that. We can use while, whereas, on the other hand, conversely, and in contrast. These linking words are very useful when we want to present the 2 points of view at the very beginning of our essay. Let's look at some examples. I believe that the main advantage of this message is that it helps children to think and act independently, while the main drawback is that it can lead to unnecessary levels of stress. The linker while is in the middle. When we use it to contrast two ideas, don't forget your comma. We can use whereas in exactly the same way. There will be children who will benefit from this message, comma, whereas others may find it intimidating and detrimental to their mental well-being. With the other examples, we should pay careful attention to punctuation in the same way we do with however and nevertheless. There will be children who will benefit from this message, semicolon. On the other hand, comma, others may find it intimidating and detrimental. Or, of course, we can begin a new sentence. Some children will try their best to be high achievers, full stop. Conversely, comma, there will always be those who react negatively to pressure. Just to confirm, you can use on the other hand and conversely both ways with a semicolon and with a full stop. Now, let's leave contrast and comparing to one side for a moment and think about some simple ways to add new information to what we have just written. Of course, the word we often use to do this is and. But there are synonyms we can use instead, such as along with, together with, as well as, and besides. Here is an example. Positive encouragement can help young people develop their talents as well as making them feel more self-confident. Notice the gerund making after the linking words. It can help people develop their talents as well as making them more self-confident. We can use along with, together with, and besides in exactly the same way, although besides can also be used at the beginning of a new sentence. Hard work does not necessarily bring children success. Besides, socializing and play are probably more important to their health and development. Now, what if we want to say something a little more complicated? We can add or join an additional idea or point to our argument. This is very important in task 2 essays in particular because we should try to present several points of view in favor or against the topic in question. The simple way to do this is using also. But let's add some alternatives. Moreover, furthermore, in addition, likewise, and similarly. This time, I'm going to use a different task 2 essay topic. Here it is. In some countries, owning a home rather than renting one is very important for people. Why might this be the case? Do you think this is a positive or negative situation? Look at this example. I want to make 2 important points. Living in a property you own gives you a strong sense of stability and security. Moreover, property is an excellent investment for the future. Joining 2 ideas like this in 2 sentences, with the second one beginning with either moreover or furthermore or in addition, with all 3 usually followed by a comma, is an excellent way to present your ideas in a task 2 essay. If the second point you want to make is closely linked to the first, a kind of continuation of the same point, we can use likewise or similarly. Here is an example. Notice that the best way is to start a new sentence. In many countries, house prices are so high that it is almost impossible for young people to enter the property market. Similarly, or likewise, the cost of renting is prohibitive for this part of the population, especially in large cities. Right, let's go on to another type of linking word. I'm thinking of words that show sequence in time or in process. I'm sure you know words like first, then, after, finally, and expressions such as in the first place or first of all, and so on. But what about these? Subsequently, thereafter. Both can replace the words after or then. Families who default on their mortgage payments lose their properties and subsequently or thereafter find it impossible to seek a bank loan ever again. Next, I'd like to share important linking words that either show the result or consequence of something or explain the cause. Let's take consequences first. One good way to show this connection is to use as a result. But there are some other ways too. Here are some of them. Consequently, as a consequence, therefore, or thus. Here is an example. Homeowners do not have to worry about taking good care of someone else's property, and as a result, can feel free to make any changes they wish. Here, I'm comparing those who buy their home to those who rent one. Here's another example. Many people take out large loans to help pay for their home. As a consequence, they might be in debt to a bank for years before paying it all back. See how we can either put these linking words at the beginning of a new sentence or as part of just one sentence after and separated by commas before and after. Exactly the same is true for both therefore and thus. The punctuation again is very important. In some societies, home ownership is seen as a sign of social prestige. Therefore, it is something many people aspire to. We can also use a semicolon before therefore. And a sentence with thus. Recent trends suggest that the young prefer to spend their savings on travel and thus do not buy a property until much later in life. If we want to explain what the cause of something is, the most common linking word is because. This we put in the middle of the sentence, like in our example. Owning property is often seen as a good way to invest money because its value will increase over time. To add variety to your writing, you can also use as and since. Both can come in the middle of the sentence, or we can start a sentence with them, putting the cause first and the result after. Since or as, property prices in city centers are practically unaffordable, prospective buyers are forced to look for cheaper homes in the suburbs. One more point I want you all to pay very special attention to. A lot of people think that they can use because of and due to in exactly the same way as because. I'm sorry, you can't. It is wrong to write this sentence. Because of property prices in city centers are practically unaffordable, you can't say that. Why? It's because these linking words are grammatically the same as despite and in spite of. We do not follow them with the subject and a verb. Look at this example. Because of rising costs, maintaining a home in optimal conditions is becoming increasingly difficult. Before the comma, no verb, just an adjective and a noun, rising costs. IELTS examiners will look at your uses of linking words very carefully when they read your essays. In the area of coherence and cohesion, these linking words, which are described in the official IELTS descriptors as cohesive devices, will help you get Band 8 if you manage all aspects of them well. And Band 7 if you use a range of them appropriately. In other words, correctly in terms of grammar, punctuation, and in the correct sense of what they mean. Apart from these linking words, you also need to use something called referencing to avoid using the same words over and over completely unnecessarily. Here are 4 ways to easily avoid word repetition that you should use in every essay, because examiners do check if you do it. And also, when is it okay to repeat the same words? Let's learn about it. The first way to avoid word repetition is to replace nouns with pronouns, such as it, he, she, they, who. Let me show you an example. Large cities suffer from different types of pollution. One of these types of pollution is air pollution. Try not to use the same noun twice in a row. Replace the second noun with a pronoun. Large cities suffer from different types of pollution. One of them is air pollution. That's it. The problem's solved. It is true that both sentences are very simple. To further increase your score, we could make the second sentence more complex. One of them is air pollution, which may lead to a range of diseases and even premature death. This new sentence has complex grammar, and it also demonstrates high-level topic-specific vocabulary, which is great for your score. Let me show you another example. Many universities try to attract international students. International students pay higher tuition fees than local students. These sentences are awkward and repetitive. So let's merge them into a single complex sentence and use a pronoun. Many universities try to attract international students because they pay higher tuition fees than their local peers. Here we're given a reason why universities want more overseas students. And I've replaced international students with the pronoun they and local students with their local peers. Peers are people of the same age and the same social position. In this case, it means local students. We could have another type of sentence. Many universities try to attract international students who pay higher tuition fees than their local peers. Here, the pronoun who helps us add extra information to the sentence, which would otherwise be very simple, both in terms of grammar and vocabulary. Basically, when you use a pronoun, you refer back to the original idea and link both sentences together. Pronouns provide this smooth transition from one sentence to the next. And it's a great way not only to avoid word repetition, but also to make your essay cohesive or easy to read and follow, which is something examiners look for. Number 2, replace the verb with to do so. For instance, parents must take responsibility for their children. Failure to do so could mean a fine or a jail sentence. To do so means to take responsibility for their children. Here is another one. Many people are leaving the villages, and the reason they are doing so is a lack of jobs. In this sentence, they are doing so means they are leaving, which is the present continuous tense. So we keep the same verb tense and say the reason they are doing so. Number 3. Activity system approach method. There are a number of nouns that can replace other nouns. Some of them are system, approach, method, solution, problem, factor, way of, type of, kind of, form of, method of. Let me show you an example. Many schools use formal exams to grade the performance of their students. The main benefit of using formal exams is their cost effectiveness. So here we need to replace using formal exams in the second sentence. What word from the left column could you use here? I would choose this approach. Many schools use formal exams to grade the performance of their students. The main benefit of this approach is its cost effectiveness. Now, have a look at the right column. Way of, type of, kind of. What phrase could you use here? Formal exams are a form of assessment. So we could say, the main benefit of this form of assessment is its cost effectiveness. Here is another sentence. Large corporations successfully use performance bonuses to motivate their staff. However, performance bonuses are too costly for small companies. So how can we replace performance bonuses? I would use this method. Large corporations successfully use performance bonuses to motivate their staff. However, this method is too costly for small companies. Number 4, synonyms. So far, we've been talking about avoiding word repetition in 2 consecutive sentences. In general, to demonstrate a wide range of vocabulary, you should not repeat the same word several times if you can replace it. Let's say the word advantage has a number of words with a similar meaning: strength, benefit, or upside. These are synonyms. Use them. But be careful. Don't think that you must not repeat any words at all. It's normal to use the key words a number of times, such as air pollution, university, cycling, robots, and so on. Also, make sure that when you're choosing a synonym, you don't accidentally change the meaning. A number of words in English can be easily replaced by synonyms. Among them are adjectives. New, big, important. We use these words all the time. Let's take one. How can you replace the adjective new? Well, a new type of transport is a modern type of transport. A new idea is a fresh idea. New information is up-to-date information. These are great phrases. But can you use these adjectives interchangeably? A fresh type of transport or an up-to-date idea? Obviously not. Each of them has its own subtle meaning and the situations when you can use it. So, I've prepared for you a list of synonyms for 20 most common adjectives used in IELTS Writing Task 2. For each word, you'll find a definition and examples that will help you use it correctly. I personally find that it's much easier to memorize new words and phrases, such as a major problem of modern life or keep up to date with the latest developments. These are really nice expressions you could use in your writing directly. The PDF with the synonyms is linked in the video description below, along with all the other resources I'm mentioning today. Now, I'd like to share with you one lesson from my courses. It's super in-depth, and if you like it and want to join my courses, there will be a special offer for you in the video description. That's where you can download the slides for this lesson too. Now, let me show you how to write a perfect introduction to your IELTS Writing Task 2 essay with my 3-step formula. It's easy to follow and it works for every essay type. Let's dive in. The first part of your essay is an introduction. Its goal is to introduce what you're going to write about. That's it. And this is why your introduction should be short. 40 to 60 words is enough. Writing a longer introduction means that you're taking valuable time away from more important paragraphs. Let's take a topic, and I'll show you how to write your introduction, and then we'll practice writing a couple of them together. In some countries, an increasing number of children are overweight or obese as a result of eating too much fast food. Banning fast food from school canteens is the best way to fight this problem. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? For introductions, I recommend the TTP formula: topic, task, position. First of all, you should introduce the topic. Give a general statement. What is this essay about? Here, you can talk about the importance of the topic or its current state. Is it a big problem? Is it a recent problem? Or has this problem been there for a long time? For example, Excessive weight gain and obesity have become major issues among children. This is the current state of the issue. Then, focus on the topic question. What are you actually asked about? One way to write the statement is to paraphrase the topic sentence. Mine is, it is argued that schools should not be allowed to sell fast food in order to reduce the rates of childhood obesity. Finally, present your position. If you're required to express your opinion, then do that. If not, provide an outline explaining what you're going to write about in your essay. An outline is a sentence that usually begins with, "This essay will discuss." In this essay, I'm giving my opinion. Even though a straightforward ban on fast food in school cafeteria seems to be a positive step, I do not agree that this is the most effective measure to alleviate this problem. Okay, the introduction is ready. At the moment, you can see 3 separate sentences. But of course, your introduction should be written in a single paragraph without any gaps. Mine is 66 words long. Now, let's write a couple of introductions together. That's how we do it in my courses. You learn what you need to do, you actually go and do it, and then you compare your result to the model answer to see how you can improve further. In the course, we do it for every paragraph of the essay. An introduction, so that's the lesson you're watching, body paragraphs, most important, and a conclusion. And you learn how to write each type of essay too. Now, let's practice. The first topic is 2 views and your opinion essay. Some people think that children should only read academic books. Others believe that reading books for pleasure is equally important. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. At this point, my course students would already have their ideas ready, but you can use ideas from my essay plan. Pause the video and write your introduction using the TTP formula. Ready? Here is mine. The topic. My general statement is very short. Children are often encouraged to read. This is the current state of the issue. Now the task. However, there is a debate regarding the kind of books that is best for them. Should children only read for educational purposes, or should they also read for fun? Here I'm asking a question. You are allowed to use questions in your essay as long as you don't just copy them from the task. This question presents the 2 views we'll be discussing in the essay. Now, the position. In this essay, you are required to choose which view you agree with. Here is my opinion. In my opinion, both categories of books are equally important for children's development. The introduction is ready. It's 48 words long. Now, the next topic. The best way to motivate employees is to increase their salaries. Do you agree with this statement? Are there any other ways to encourage employees to work more efficiently? In this essay, we need to answer 2 questions. The first one is about your opinion. This means that you should give your opinion in the introduction. As for the second question, you should offer some other ways to encourage employees to work more efficiently. Again, you should mention this question in your introduction. Now, write your introduction using the ideas from your idea generation template or from mine. Okay, pause the video now. Ready to continue? Here is my introduction. The first sentence presents the topic. Companies across the globe recognize the importance of motivating their staff to work more productively. This is the current state of the issue. Now, let's focus on our question. Some think that increasing salaries is the most effective incentive. This is the key statement. And now my position. I disagree with this opinion and argue that other methods tend to yield even better results. Here, I give my opinion about the first question. Do you agree with this statement? I also partly answer the second question. Yes, there are other methods to motivate employees. But I'm not saying what methods these are. I'm keeping this information for my conclusion. Okay, this introduction is 41 words long. Are your introductions similar to mine, or are they quite different? Remember, there are many ways to write a great essay introduction. Now, let's talk about some do's and don'ts of writing introductions. Don't make it too general. Let me show you an example. This is our topic about motivating employees. Let's read the introduction. Companies across the globe recognize the importance of motivating their staff to work more productively. After all, companies' profits depend on how well the employees work. Businesses, therefore, try to encourage their people to work more efficiently. Okay, is it a good introduction? The answer is no. It's too general. Here we have 3 sentences explaining why motivating staff is important. But that's not the question. One general statement is enough to introduce the topic. Then you should immediately address the essay question or questions. I know that writing these general sentences may be easier and quite tempting, but you don't have time for that. So try to get straight to the point. The next tip is don't make it too long. Write between 40 and 60 words. And definitely avoid the situation when your introduction is the longest paragraph of your essay. Your body paragraphs should be the longest, not your introduction. Next, don't use memorized templates. Write your essay from scratch. Don't try to learn some impressive sentences because IELTS examiners can easily spot them and you'll be penalized for using memorized content. The next tip is what you should do. Do state your position. Your position should be clear throughout your essay, and it's easier to do that if you start from your introduction. Let's summarize. I suggest using the TTP formula for your introduction. Topic, task, position. Here are a few tips. Don't make it too general. Don't make it too long. Don't use memorized templates, but do state your position. And one more thing I haven't mentioned. When you're writing your introduction, try to include everything you need and finish quickly so you can move on to the more important parts of your essay, your body paragraphs and conclusion. If you enjoyed this free preview lesson, I'll be happy to see you on my courses. So far, we've had over 30,000 students and the reviews we're getting are truly heartwarming. Whether you're just starting your preparation or you need to improve your score from the previous attempt, these courses can help you prepare for your IELTS exam step by step, save time, and achieve a higher score. And there is a special offer for you in the video description. That's where you can download the slides from this lesson too. Thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!